As today we're discussing what new RVers should stop doing right now. And specifically by new RVers, we mean new RVers that have started camping within the past 2 years or so.
Yeah, those fresh out the womb.
Fresh out the womb. Now, personally, I get a little salty or offended when I'm on a forum and the OGs are like, oh, I wish the new campers would go back to their regular travel because they
Now
don't...
you acting like the OGs.
because they don't have etiquette or whatever. So today we're dropping nuggets for the new RVers to let you know what you should stop doing right now.
And maybe for some of those OGs that didn't get the memo.
Right, okay, let's get started. Number one, speaking of nuggets, guys, we love dogs, we have a dog, but you gotta pick up your dog's nuggets when we're at the campgrounds, okay?
Especially if they're those big nuggets from with your Great Danes and your Rottweilers and those type of dogs. They're lovable and all that, but they leave behind, you know, a lot of baggage.
Like human-size portions.
Yes.
Of...
Nobody wants to step in that kind of stuff.
Like the human size.
No, it's bigger than human size.
It's like horse
like
size.
Horse. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, guys, we get it. Sometimes, like, your dog will poo and you might not have a bag on you, but just go back to your camper and go back and get it later. I mean, it has literally happened to everyone, especially if your dog poos on someone's site. So it's just common courtesy, right? Okay, so speaking of fecal material, let's move on to the second thing we need new RVers to stop doing right now. Okay. Have you guys been to a campground and you go to set up your site and you realize that your picnic table is directly next to someone else's sewer connection?
Which is not anybody's fault.
Yeah,
right?
It's no one's fault.
Right.
But it's kind of gross, right? So here's the thing, guys. If you see someone out there having a lovely breakfast, eating eggs and sausage, don't go out and start like dumping your sewage while they're like having breakfast or lunch or dinner. Kind of nasty, right? It's just an etiquette thing. Like, don't do it.
Yeah, I got a story about that. I'm kind of guilty of that.
What?
Yeah. So we were basically wrapping up. We were getting closer and closer to that checkout time. You know what I mean? So I'm rushing, packing up all the chairs, the gazebos, all that jazz. And I guess this family had a late breakfast or brunch kind of thing going on. Right around, you know, it was around like checkout time. 10-ish, 11-ish. You know how it is. So they were all there. They were on their Blackstone, just finished cooking their bacon and sausage and eggs. And I'm like, oh, crap. And I had to dump the tank, okay? This was probably like a 3 or 4 day weekend for us. So it was like full. I didn't have access to another dump station, so I had to get her done. And, you know, I let her rip, but they were cool about it. But, you know, I felt a little...
Were they cool about it, though?
They were having a conversation with me while I was doing it, so I don't think
so, like, did you have, like, the colorful stuff in there so it didn't look, like, brown when it was coming out?
I don't remember all the details, but I just know that, you know, stuff was flowing, fecal matter was moving while they were eating, and I felt bad. But anyway, don't do that unless you have no choice like
Okay,
me.
that makes sense. If you don't have a choice and you got to get out of there, understood. But if...
You get a pass.
You get a pass. But it's just a common courtesy thing. Yeah. Like, oh gosh, that's so gross. If you can avoid dumping while people are outside, try to avoid that. Just to be nice, right? Number 3 is leaving bright lights on at night. Now, this is a huge source of debate on many RV forums. I've like, you know, kind of been neutral on this because personally, I like having a soft light on at night. On the camper. However, I understand people's like beef with having like super bright lights on at night, especially for people who like to look at the stars and things like that.
But, you know, your rigs look really nice with the, especially mine. I like the way mine looks with the lights on in the front, and I kind of like keeping them on sometimes, but, you know, maybe not keeping them on the whole night, you know, just maybe for a couple hours.
So, like, until, like, 8 or 9?
Yeah, a reasonable time.
So, like, not leaving them on all night.
I think that's a good compromise. Right. Because people do want to look at the stars, and you don't want that, do they call it...
light pollution?
Yeah, light pollution, right? I get it. I like looking at the stars, too. But I also like looking at my rig at night with the nice lights, you know, on and beaming, and it just makes everything looks nice.
So, technically, you are one of the new campers that everyone gets annoyed with.
I don't keep them on all night, just for a couple hours, you know?
Drop a comment below and let us know what's your take on leaving your lights on at night. Do you think it's poor etiquette, or do you think no big deal? We're curious to know how other people feel about that. Number 4 is driving fast through campgrounds, and that includes like with regular cars, trucks, and also with golf carts. So a lot of these campgrounds that we've been to, like we've seen some people like ripping through on their golf carts, and it can be really, really dangerous because people have their little kids out, you know, playing or on their little bicycle, and something that, you know, you really ought to think twice about. Be courteous, just slow down. Now the 5th tip that we're going to discuss is walking and riding your bike through people's sites. Now this one really gets under people's skin. When you reserve a campsite, it's technically like your little personal area for the duration of your trip. And a lot of people get annoyed when people just rudely come through their campsite. Now, we stayed at Cherrystone one time and we were kind of near a walkway, so people were coming through our campsite like, you know, pretty frequently. And for us, we didn't really care that much. I mean, we talked to people, it wasn't a big deal. However, we were at a different campsite out in Georgia, and literally someone rode a bike like right through our site, kind of caught us off guard, and we thought it was a little weird and rude, right? And if you need to cut through someone's site, maybe just ask permission, like, hey, you know, do you mind if I cut through this site to get to the beach area?
Right.
Or something like that. The last tip for the newbie RVers, I know all of these rigs come with these super nice sound systems and whatnot, but if you're at a campground really close to other people,
like KOAs,
yeah,
or a lot of the private parks,
yeah, try not to blast your music. Everyone doesn't like the same kind of music, and it just is kind of annoying, so to speak, when
it's
you're
rude.
It's a little rude. You sound like Larry David. Yeah, it's kind of annoying when you're trying to relax and you're hearing like someone blasting.
So just turn it down a bit.
Their music. You know?
A little bit.
Henry, I feel like you do that.
What? I blast music? I'm guilty of a lot of these things, I guess. But I wouldn't mind if somebody came to me, hey, can you turn that down a bit? I mean, that's not going to make me mad.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I apologize, you know, and turn it down. That's all.
Yeah.
Nothing to it.
Well, usually I'll be like, oh, let's turn it down a little bit. But, guys, for the most part.
Hey, if they don't like Marley, something wrong with them.
Henry loves his reggae. These are the tips that new RVers and some OGs should start implementing right away so everyone can have a great time at the campground.